No changes to my face.
And we're live.
All right. Well, I'm at and we're coming in. All right. I'm talking. I'm going to see if my face comes up. There it is. There it is. Okay, so the YouTube is live. Anyone who's joining us, my name is Graham Rowat, and welcome to Behind the Door, the postmortem autopsy from our final preseason episode of the Grey Rooms called Lookalike by Bo Chappell. Joining me on Behind the Door, I'd like you to say hello to the author, Bo Chappell.
Hello, how's it going?
That's great. We have Holly Linden, the lead performer of Lookalike.
Hi, Graham and everybody.
We have co-creator and producer of the Grey Rooms, Jason Wilson.
He's still muted.
My bad.
There he is. That's my man. And we also have our editor-in-chief and also co-creator of the Grey Rooms, Brian Black.
I didn't do it.
What didn't you do? Oh, you're just saying. You're just in general. Guys, let's start out with people who may be new to the Grey Rooms, may have only just discovered us with the latest preseason and final preseason episode, or perhaps they saw us mentioned on sci-fi.com in the list of 7 scary podcasts for this scary time. What is the Grey Rooms? What makes the Grey Rooms different than other horror podcasts out there? Jason, take it.
Well, I think that the Grey Rooms, and thanks, Graham, everybody for doing this for one. But I think that the Grey Rooms is its own thing because it's a bunch of stories mixed in one. It has a main story, all these little side stories. It's complete audio production, and I totally just screwed that up.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. It shows you're human.
Oh man, yeah.
Brian, do you want to add to that?
Yes, Brian does.
Yes, I do. Sorry. I was actually just looking at the chats. We have a whole bunch of people on there. So you might just want to kind of check out on them and say hello to, what is it? We have Justin Thulu's on there, Arthur Unk, Christina, Jason's wife, who has a lot of clout in our podcast, and Charlotte's on there too. So,
Jason's wife, she's watching from the other room.
Yeah, I heard her earlier scream, "You're on mute!" So
if she has any questions, feel free to shout them from the other room.
Oh, great.
So now that I'm distracted, what was that question again? Sorry, I just was noticing the chat room.
I want to just, one thing that it makes the Grey Rooms unique to other horror podcasts that I find interesting is that at the end of every story, the person, well, they don't make it out. He or she dies.
You can say it. They dies. Yeah.
I want to find like a graceful way to just, because I would think that if I was facing, like, would I want to tune into a story, to a show where when I knew that was going to happen, and yet none of the fact that these stories end that way doesn't make these stories any less exciting or thrilling. And I realize that the fact that these people don't make it out is, well, it's definitely unique. It makes this a show unique to itself.
Yeah, I think that the big thing is we talk to a lot of people on Twitter and different social media places, and we asked them, well, what is horror to you? And their answer, I'm watching Graham Strip now. Speaking of horror.
I just assumed the camera would go back to the person talking, so.
Sorry, Graham, I was distracted again. But anyway. So the big thing is that when we interviewed these people, they said that the control factor in horror is really what leaves people terrified, whether it's horror, something that they can't control, something that's the unknown, whether it's a supernatural, some kind of slasher, a monster, whatever. The big thing is all of those things don't matter as much as it's the person really feeling that challenge. Things are not they're not going the way that they want them to go. And what is something that we can't control more than death. So the idea is that you have our listeners, the central story characters, whoever. They basically, as we say, it's kind of like a little bit of a Tales from the Crypt meets Quantum Leap. So they basically end up in the shoes of the story character, and they're suffering and feeling all the pain and everything that's going on. So, for instance, if you were in Lookalike, I would almost venture to say you're not the main character of that story. You're one of those guys, Chad or Brad or his dad, Tad, or whatever it is. We're one of those guys, and you're thinking to yourself, you're living their thoughts, and you're feeling all the pain and suffering that they feel. So when they die at the end of the story, or maybe you are the main character because, spoiler alert, she dies too. You're feeling that.
What?
You're in there. Yeah, I know.
I didn't know this.
Whoa.
But we just said everybody dies, right?
There
So
goes a couple downloads.
yeah. And
Well, that's what I love about Lookalike is that there's a story. I love the fact that she goes through that whole journey, and you think, oh, she's trapped and helpless, and then there's the wonderful twist, which I don't have to elaborate on in case people haven't listened to it. But if you're listening to the behind the scenes here, you probably have. But I just love the fact that she has her own arc. She's a powerful character, and she is able to take revenge on the people who abuse her. And then she still has an ending that fits with the Grey Rooms. But it doesn't mean she's not powerful and strong and in command. It just happens that luck and fate catches up with her. To that end, let me just hop in and ask Bo a question or two, because Bo, I couldn't help but wonder whether the story did it always exist with this ending? And because I realized that I also thought, when people submit stories to the Grey Rooms, knowing that the person has to die, does that mean a writer has to change their idea, or was it always this? The story was always this.
It started as one of those like seedling ideas of just somebody that pretends to be a celebrity gets kidnapped thinking of that a celebrity. And I put that idea in a drawer somewhere, that type of thing.
Right.
And, this opportunity came along to do this podcast. And I was like, oh, this would be good. I could, that would be easy to do, especially with, the tragedies that happened, like John Lennon and Selena, where they had these crazed fans, these people that absolutely loved them at one point decided to kill them. So I started writing it out, but originally she was going to be a pop star. And in the midst of writing that, that's when I think it's safe to say here, is the Star Wars incident, with all the fans.
Is this the one? And because I realized there was another, I was trying to draw parallels between Yumi and the actress from The Force Awakens, but I realized the most recent sort of dust up was with the actress from The Last Jedi.
Yes, it was the Instagram incident with her, Kelly Marie Tran.
Yeah.
How she had to leave just because.
Yeah,
they were placing the whole fault on her for messing up Star Wars forever.
Well, I also wonder because recently there was a whole thing about. I guess they exposed some weird kind of Russian bot angle to a lot of that backlash too.
Yeah, I had heard that too, and I was like, really? Like they were trying to. If it's one thing that'll stir up Americans, it's their opinion on Star Wars.
Right. Well, and it's fascinating because your story really has a great comment about how fans. Fanatical fans take ownership of something. They love it so much that they refuse they don't let anybody change it. They're so fanatical that how dare you mess with what they love. I should check back in with our I just realized I'd been ignoring our fine people in the chat room, including Justin and Charlotte. Charlotte is awake. Charlotte,
I know, right? That's insane.
That's wonderful. Congratulations
way,
on your
Graham,
insomnia.
You were just describing me right there with the whole, how dare you change anything? How dare, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Holly,
You know.
Holly, I'm going to back it up because I know Justin did. I'm going to because I realize I've leapt into the story, and I'm more interested in sort of some basic questions like
Mhm.
let's just back out a little bit because voice acting is its own unique category of acting, and I'm just wondering how you came to it, and if it's just another avenue for one of your many artistic pursuits.
Sort of. I'm a musician first and foremost. I became a professional musician when I was 11. So I started working in studios and demoing songs for people. And then when I was 18, from 18 to 25, I was living in LA, back and forth between LA and Ontario, Canada. So I had
I'm
all of
also
this.
from Ontario, Canada, just so you know.
Oh, no way. Do
I
you know
was
St.
born.
Thomas?
Wait, is that a school? It sounds like a
No,
school.
the
The
city.
town.
It's like south of London.
I lived in Peterborough, and I went to London to visit my grandmother.
That is funny.
That's
It's a
not a
small
horror
world.
story. Yeah.
No.
So you're back and forth from Ontario to LA.
Yeah, and so if I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this, but like it's always kind of been something that's been a part of my life because I'm kind of a very kooky, nerdy sort of individual. So um yeah, that's good. So like
I'm sorry, you
um
can't stay here. There's no room for you here. We're all
but
full up.
like
We're full up.
I've always loved just making characters and writing songs for them and singing them as these characters and giving them these backstories and stuff like that, you know. So it's always been something that I've been practicing. And I was telling Jason beforehand that like something that I would do is when I was young, I used to have my first boyfriend was Australian and when I was like 16. And anytime I'd have like a sleepover or whatever, all of my girlfriends would be like, "Oh, well, you gotta call the pizza place and you have to do the accent and blah 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 blah," because it was like I was their trained monkey, right? So yeah, and it wasn't just music; it was this other thing on the side too. So I was just naturally practicing it, and the more people get to know me just in like random conversations, I'll just come out with like voices and weird stuff and because I'm very whimsical. But and then right around maybe like 8 years ago, I was like, okay, I really want to do something more with this because it's something that speaks to me. I love being able, especially character work. The corporate stuff is kind of soul killing, but the character work, like audiobooks and things like that, you know, like that's really where I feel connected because I'm very emotive and expressive. So doing character work is my favorite thing. But when it comes to voiceover, anyway.
Yeah.
But I think it was just something that happened naturally. It was a natural gravitational because when I was 25, I decided I'm not going to go to LA anymore. I'm going to work on music by myself and be a lot more independent because that's just who I am naturally anyway. So it just gave me more time to focus on, yes, music, but also these other things that maybe I wanted to incorporate more into my career. And it, yeah, it was kind of a gradual process, I would say.
Do you have I'm going to ask Jason about your fine performance in a second, but I did want to ask
Uh-oh.
no, I just I'm taking some questions from our friends in the Grey Room's emotional support group, which you can find on Facebook. But Justin was just asking, and this is a large question, so don't feel like you've got to, give the whole list. But well, for people who are aspiring voice actors, what you have a tip or tips that you like, the one or two sort of things that you've learned that you would pass on to others who are starting out?
He takes a big drink right before he answers.
That's a big one. I can let you sit with that while Jason, who has been who was working with your audio for extended periods of time, and I want Jason to talk about your performance a little bit because he really heard it a lot.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man.
And did not like it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Oh, deplorable. Yeah.
Thanks, Graham. Thanks. For that great one. I appreciate it.
I realize
actually,
just
Holly is. I don't know. It's what she did was exceptional. It was well produced
Thank
for
you.
one. So her setup, whatever you did there, if you're going to give people pointers, please point them to that, because there's nothing worse than a ton of background noise and all this other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a nightmare to work with. You're sitting there for hours and hours. But boy, just the range with what you did. You were able to take that actress and you narrated it, and then you took the accent, and it was like you stepped out of your body, and you were her and you were her. And so it was literally two different people to work with. It was really fun, and
Thank you.
And you had a lot of passion, a lot of drive, a lot of energy, and I could tell that you felt the character. At least in my opinion, it felt like that you really were living that character. And
Yeah.
boy, it was well done, and it was super
Thank
easy
you.
to work with. So, and if you need pointers, contact her or contact them. They know what the heck they're doing, straight up, seriously.
well,
Thank
Bo,
you so much.
when Bo wrote this, I think he probably acknowledged the challenge he'd given us.
No. Here's the thing. I had such a dissociation from it turning into an audio play that when I got that question back, like, oh, she has an accent. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess she does. Huh? I didn't realize what I'd done to you.
That was great. It was fun.
Bring it on, bro. Bring it on.
But that was the video. It was like, I don't even think it was a day later. I got the news like Graham's found someone. And it was shortly after that I got little samples of like preliminary stuff, and I was just blown away by that. And I was
Thank you.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
I apologize if it was too much of it, but you guys you went above and beyond.
I'm just wondering
when I got that. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's good. I'm just wondering what accent would have totally flummoxed us. Like I honestly thought New Zealand was going to be the Waterloo. And when
we've
Holly
already got Russian going on. We've already got the Russian.
Well, some of those, I think the ones that are impossible are. Everyone has the one they can't do. So thankfully, Holly doesn't have that yet, or we haven't discovered it.
We got little kids. We were able to do that.
Yep.
Very well too.
Power of automation.
Automation.
Hey, Brian, you and Jason both were responsible for sort of going through the stories that were submitted for this contest. What stood out about Lookalike that made you choose it?
You want to go first, Jason, or do you?
Well, I mean, he said your name.
We said both of ours. We take no responsibility for this podcast at all.
I said Brayson.
Yeah. There you go.
High five.
So basically, I think one thing that we really liked the spider story. That was the big one that we did. And then we were looking around and we thought, man, we have a lot of great stories that we have. And let's keep going. Let's go find some more. We had planned on picking 2. So we looked and we were reading Bo's story, and we thought to ourselves, this is something that's prevalent to our times. This is something that's really true to life. Obviously, I mean, let's face it. If people are, this toxic, that they're using their hate on social media and pushing people off of it, what's to stop them to go to the next level? Stephen King in his book Misery was a perfect example of this situation way before we ever thought this was going to be a thing. You used to be afraid of your fame because maybe somebody would be a little stalkerish or something. Mm-hmm. This is taking it to the next level. And the way Bo had written the story, it really focused on things that I hadn't really thought of. The fact that this woman could impersonate somebody to the extent where they knew exactly where this person was at all hours of the day. Oh, I know what their favorite drink is. It's Starbucks or wherever his version of Starbucks was. The point is that she could follow, and then, oh no, she tweeted or she put a picture on Instagram. I got to get out of there. So the fact that the story was that way, I would say that it might not have been like, the freakiest or scariest, but it was dark. It was funny. And I think that it really, to me, is a real life horror situation.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the scariest part of the whole thing, that this is something that could really happen to somebody.
Straight up, that's the big deal. I agree with you 100%. Like the reality behind it, like, watch your social media, filter yourselves, man, filter yourselves, because this is true. He nailed it right there. Like she even said in the story, if I had the urge, or the words, I can't remember the words, but if I had the inkling, I think, to kill her, I would know what soda she was drinking when I did it because of her social media. So yeah, no, it's definitely a true story, horror. And I remember when me and Brian were reading all the stories, this one was always right up there on the top, just because, well, I mean, I'm a big Star Wars nerd. I love it. Unfortunately, I'm one of those Star Wars nerds that don't think that the extension of the series ruined the original. I just think it's an addition. I think it's.
Oh my God! Get out of here!
I know.
Get out of here!
So
Banned.
There are computers
Kicked
blowing
out.
up all across the world. I know, my bad, but it's like, but I oh my God, I totally lost my train of thought.
No. It's totally understandable. I love the part in the story where the twist is so delicious that not only is she prepared to escape, and she's actually the hunter, which is always a delicious twist, but then she speaks about how this happens on a regular basis. And she compares these guys to the last crazy fans who kidnapped
the Scotch
her.
tape guys.
Yeah. And that's a delicious layer, that in fact, all of these crazy people are actually her prey. So well done, Bo.
Thank you.
Yeah, totally.
I've just been sitting here taking this in. I appreciate this. I'm just, I'll drink it in.
Was that a hard word count, by the way, Bo? Was that hard to squeeze all that in that word count?
Only toward the end, I had to like take things in and out, but it was more just alterations to the line, just to make them a bit smoother. It actually helped, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right. I kind of like to hear that. All right. Cool, man. All right.
Jason,
awesome.
What was your challenge? Because you're the guy who puts all the pieces together. You get the voiceover audio, and then you have to stitch them together with you going out, and I mean, as we move forward, it looks like we're probably enlisting some composers, but right now you're the guy who finds everything and puts it together. What was the hard part for this one?
Well, finding everything.
Yeah.
Just just trying to make sure that, we don't. I always try to approach every story that, I want to make sure that the author is proud of it. I want to make sure that the voice actor or actress is well represented. And I just want to make sure that the podcast itself sounds as professional, as full as it possibly can. And so, I mean, every story is always the same. It's always, literally with me, it's pulling hair out. It constantly is. I'm sitting here with earbuds in or headphones on all day long, listening to sound effects, listening to music. And I think that maybe the hardest part of this one, I wanted to go, I'm pretty sure you gathered this with that hip hop song at the very beginning. I was trying to kind of go really modern, kind of cutting edge, and like just more now kind of a feel. And I wanted to make it sound not more like a story you're listening to, but maybe you're kind of in a bubble floating around watching this happen to this person. You can relate because this is the world you live in, and it's very, very real to the times kind of thing. And just throwing it all together, and especially in the time crunch, was tough too. But thank God I had somebody like Holly with her, and you and Gabe did a wonderful job. We can't forget Gabe.
No, Gabe's going to have a great featured story this season. Summer Child.
Oh, Summer Child. Yeah, that's right.
What a lot of people don't know about Jason is that his idea or his plan. So on November 30th, the Grey Rooms launches, and every other week there will be an episode. We have a season of 13 episodes. There are going to be bonus episodes that fall in there. Some of those are going to be for the patrons who support the show on Patreon.
thank you.
And then in between some of those weeks, we and maybe every week, we're still working out the interview format here. We will have this sort of behind the scenes show. But Jason's idea was that he wanted to have all those 13 original episodes fully produced and locked before the first one lands on November 30th. And I was blown away by that. And I think you've done it. Have you not, Jason? Pretty close?
No.
Okay.
I'm close. I'm close. I'm sitting at 9. I'm sitting at 9 of them.
Well, no, and you obviously have lots of time. So I think most people would be like, don't kill yourself. You've got time. So I'm glad you haven't killed yourself.
I wish. I don't know, man. Like, you ask Brian. If anybody talks to me more than anybody, it's Brian. I'll tell you what.
I don't talk to him at all.
Never. we actually. Who are you? No, but
he found me off the street. I was homeless 3 weeks ago.
I definitely stress about the time instance, but it's just simple fact is that I want so passionately, I want that this podcast to sound exceptional for not just the listeners, but also all of those involved, the actors and the writers. You know, it's yes, I'm taking all the nuts and bolts and I'm making the tool shed, but it was all of those nuts and bolts that came together to make it happen. And yeah, I definitely stress about that because I'll tell you what, I have guaranteed, and I will stand by this from day one to now, that we will produce and release 5-star audio quality, period. And that's just how it's going to be, always.
And we're awesome. 5 stars right now on iTunes.
So 18 reviews. 18.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but Brian, how many did your mom leave?
Well, you know, you had her iPad.
Mine left one. Mine left one.
Okay.
Mine left one. I'm just gonna say that now. Mine left one.
Holly, is this the first time you've ever killed anybody in your work?
See, I have to think about that. Yes, yeah.
Such an
assassin. So.
That's a random question. I'm gonna guess it's no, but I just thought I would ask it.
What would you do if she would have been like, I kill people all the time?
Oh, man. She was so brutal in this story, too. It was like just brutal, like cutthroat. She's like, slice, bang, done.
She liked it. She loved it.
Oh, it's fun.
I'm out of here.
I mean, you must have had like a bad day that day or something because you were enjoying every bit of it. You must have been like stuck in traffic or something for like 2 hours. I don't know. It was crazy.
Holly, what struck me about your performance was that I do a lot of audiobook narration, and I've discovered that there is a spectrum when it comes to narrating. And for me personally, audiobook narration exists in a sort of not flat. There's still opinion and intonation and point of view, but it's milder than the narration that I do in something like the Grey Rooms or another other sort of podcasts that are stories. And I found that your balance, and for me, it's a matter of leaning into the emotion and letting it sort of ring out more. And that's what I thought you did really well in Lookalike. And I wonder, are you aware of those levels as well when you work? Or is that just where you live?
I've never really thought about it, but yeah, I can definitely see that because I've done audiobooks too. And the narration in audiobooks is a lot less emotive. I actually view this less as like a narration and more of like I'm writing in my journal talking about like this messed up day that I had, you know. So it's so it's sort of that kind of feeling to me. So I tend to just go with whatever intuitively comes first.
Yeah, it was great.
And it usually turns out good.
it's something I've had to learn over the past couple months, is just where different stuff sits. And and you were so beautifully in the pocket. So
thank you.
Hey, we can't discount what you did though, Graham. You did
thank you,
Chad, brother.
Thank you.
Man, you did a good job. The back and forth between you and Gabe's character and that was classic. That was just comedy. That was comedy gold right there, man.
Graham had this he had this infamous line, and I really did not put that much importance on that line, but I'd gotten word back that the people that were listening to it and they got to that part were just completely like, "Oh my God, I can't believe he said it."
Which line was that? I'm glad your dad has cancer.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it was the way you read it, and when I heard it, it was immediate. I don't mean to, admit this, but I laughed uncontrollably because it was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
But I was just like, oh my God, everybody was right.
Well, and it's great. What I loved about it, story-wise, narratively, is that it you knew these guys were jerks and dicks, and that was the nail in the coffin for this guy, which was so it made what came to him so deserving.
Yeah.
So it was a great setup for which then happened.
It wouldn't have worked though if like if it had been completely played off the entire way. Like you were very intimidating. Like when that switch, when you hit that switch, it was okay. Like if you kept playing it up, you could that could have been one of those things that anybody else could have easily messed up.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's
you did a great job, man.
Well, we sure
awesome.
We love getting to play other people and access those emotions which in our daily lives we have to we don't. That's what's addictive. That's what's addictive about acting, is that you get to live concentrated life. You don't have to. You're not living you're not standing in a line. You're not driving to get groceries. You get to leave. You get to do the good stuff, the sweet, juicy stuff. And Holly, would you agree?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That's right. So we need our hit, and so we love good writing like Bo gives us. And what's exciting for me is obviously to hear how it all comes together, because we send our lines off to Jason, and I know he works so hard, and then we get to sit and listen to this world he creates, and it's really satisfying to hear it all come together.
Yeah, that Kylo Ren voice that he put on you guys was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It really the disintegrator, and then there was a disintegrator, and then there was the what? Bo,
he was supposed to be like a Kylo Ren, Darth Vader-esque, and Gabe's character was supposed to be like a
Stormtrooper.
Like a Boba Fett. Yeah, like a Boba Fett character.
Yeah.
So, well, I thought there was the fact that he had two different sounds for both different helmets was great, and even if the Gabe's character, I was Chad and he was Brad. Anyway, the stormtrooper.
They're interchangeable.
The stormtrooper was the stormtrooper sound was so great.
Really, not even 5 minutes. Not even 5 minutes.
Don't remember my own name.
It happens.
Guys, I'm gonna throw you a left curve just because Halloween just happened. We honored it because of by dropping Lookalike, but because this is a new venture, I'm gonna throw it out there. Give me one of your favorite scary movies.
Well, for me, if I may, the thing that actually skyrocketed me into the horror genre to begin with, I remember my parents were pretty strict about what we could and couldn't watch in our bedtimes and stuff when I grew up, and they would kick us to bed, and then my dad and mom, fortunately, would go to sleep like dead people. They would just be we could drive the car out and just go do our thing, and they wouldn't know. They're just out, right? And so I snuck out of my room when my dad had I grew up in a military household, and so my father had converted this storage room into a actual like a family television family hangout area. It was really nice, and I went in there and I turned on the TV with this. I remember it was is that crocheting where they like the yarn you can still see through the holes, and I think it's crocheting. Anyway, blanket. Yeah, thank you. 5 stars. But
I do all that stuff. So
well, I remember I took this blanket. I love this blanket, but I took this blanket and I sat on a beanbag and I turned on a TV and I turned on Evil Dead 2.
Oh, wow.
Dead by Dawn.
That's a good one.
And
Arthur Unk in our chat room literally just said Evil Dead 1 is his favorite.
Well, but my personal opinion, honestly, I mean, I could go back and forth with Arthur on this. I think Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 are the same story, just upgraded a little bit. I mean, it's the same,
Larger budget.
like Evil Dead 2 was what did it for me. I fell in love with horror, just a whole like I remember I was scared to death when the tape was playing. They were showing it, and they were doing a Necronomicon reading, and they were showing a thing all through the forest, and then oh my god. I love that story. And because of Bruce Campbell and Evil Dead, I am all screwed up mentally. And I will never. I was looking through that blanket like this. I was trying to hide myself. I could still see the bad guys. But it didn't matter. I loved it. And I still to this day love it. So,
Bo, what's your favorite scary movie?
I got to go 28 Days Later.
Nice.
I like that mix of just actual horror, but that kind of existential dread. Just feeling isolated and alone, and
fast zombies.
Yeah, like when I was a kid, it was I was terrified of zombies, even to the point like Thriller scared the crap out of me. So,
how about
I have that on vinyl, brother.
I actually have it on vinyl too. I got that. Yeah, you can't.
How about the first 20 minutes of 28 Weeks Later? That first 20 minutes.
Yes, I really want Danny Boyle and now I can't from one of my favorite writers and I forget his name, but Alex Garland, I believe it's Alex Garland. I really want them to come back in because they keep teasing that they're going to do 28 months later.
28 months later.
Yeah.
Brian, do you have a scary movie?
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, damn you!
Terrifying.
Come on, though. You know that's a great
direction we are going.
But
so now everybody knows where the warden gets his like quirks from.
That's it. G. Wilder. G. Wilder is the warden. That's how it works.
Nice.
But no, I think John Carpenter's The Thing.
Nice.
And,
that's a good one.
That scene when he's trying to use the defibrillator and the dude's chest just opens right up and stops happening. Oh, it's just that's pretty messed up.
That's fantastic.
You can't argue with Carpenter, man.
Oh no, there's a great and there's a Carpenter. There's a trilogy. It's The Thing, Mouth of Madness, and The Prince of Darkness, and it's considered to be the John Carpenter. I don't know if they gave it a name, but it's you sit down and you watch all three, and you lose your mind. Holly, what's your scary movie?
I'm so totally the odd person out because I don't watch them.
Did you accidentally see one that you went, oh, I didn't hate that?
Okay, I don't really get scared. So, but I will tell you something that has scared me from a movie, and it was when I was 5, and it was the Marshmallow Man from the first Ghostbusters.
What?
Yep.
He's like the happiest guy in the world. He's like,
no, it's the evil eyebrows while he's smiling.
Right, and especially when he catches on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
takes so much pleasure in like flattening the city and killing all these people. And I was 5, and I saw it for like a second, and I went to bed. And I've pretty well been fearless my whole life, but that would not let me go back to sleep. And then I was crying in my dad's arms. And
oh man, have you watched that movie since?
Unfortunately, yeah, I actually watched it like a month ago, and I was like, "This is so stupid! Like, why did this scare me?" You know. But I
don't
get
watch
it,
the Never-Ending Story or the Dark Crystal because those are
or Willy Wonka.
Suck as adults.
You get the Willy Wonka Oompa Loompas, and you would have nightmares for the rest of your life. You know?
That's the creepiest. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah. We have to. It's our job now to scare Holly with what we make with the Grey Rooms.
By the way, I do want to make a comment just for a second. I think I have to click on everybody for them to show on the YouTube. So if I got lazy, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure. Like, look, right now I have it on me, and
no, I mean I see Jason when he speaks. I think it usually throws over to who's ever speaking.
Yeah,
it's delayed on YouTube by about 5-10 seconds, though.
I'm trying not to talk. I'm just watching YouTube for a second.
Okay, no worries. So, guys, what I'm going to do, I'm going to two other ideas as we sort of, round the corner here towards home. I wanted to talk for a second about what's coming next for the Grey Rooms. November 30th, the season will launch. We'll have 13 regular season episodes and wonderful sort of bonus episodes interspersed there. 13, yeah, we don't know. We know we have at least 13. But a lot of people who have listened to the preseason have gotten familiar with the wonderful character of the Warden. And we wanted to let people know that the Warden is still around, but he is he's going to be up in his office, and we're going to be meeting. There's going to be a new story that encompasses the entire season, and we're going to be meeting one of the people who is our main sufferer, if you will, and his name is Raymond. And we're going to meet him, and we're going to meet the person.
Spoiler alert.
Well, I know I went too far there. I won't tell you his last name. And we're going to meet the person who's in charge of his torment. And that's something you should. I mean, it's a little tidbit for you. It's not life changing, but the Warden. I think we might be visiting him. He might come back around to introduce some of our bonus episodes, but he's in charge.
You can get the Warden. The Warden will always be available for the patrons. He is the patron exclusive thing. And definitely if we have a bonus episode or anything like that, the Warden will be the one for sure. But by the way, Graham, I'm just going to say good job. Mm-hmm. Good job. Good job on your recording, brother. You know which one I'm talking about. You know which one I'm talking about.
Hey, wait, I didn't think we were giving Graham credit for anything.
Yeah, no, that's good. No. I'm just the ninja of love. I'm in and out.
That's a good one. I like that one. I'm going to use that one. That's right there.
Ninja of love.
Christina, I'm the ninja of love.
I mean, I'd laugh if she's like, I don't care.
She doesn't. Yeah, what? Make it disappear?
And people who are listening to this have heard us mention it, but we are on Patreon. If anyone likes what we do and wants to help us out, we would love that. It's not a must. It's not an absolute, but we just want people to be aware of it because sound effects are expensive. As Jason shakes his head. What I want to ask is but as we're wrapping up, I want to give everyone an opportunity to promote other things they've got going on. Bo, I know that you are working on an anthology based on your novel Year 47. Is that true?
Yes, that's coming out November 27th. I'm actually going through and formatting that and doing all the fun technical stuff.
And that is you had released a book called Year 47, and these are stories that sort of exist in that same universe, written by you and other authors?
Yeah, it was one of those funny things, because I'd written that book as it was like a one-off, and I didn't want to do a sequel. And it was people kept coming to me and telling me that you did a lot of world building just to kind of get there to the end. And it just put that seed in my head, like, oh, wouldn't it be fun to kind of see what other people would do when give them all the toys and give them the sandbox and let them go at it. And I've gotten some amazing stories.
World building is some of the hardest things to do. So I imagine if someone else has done all the heavy lifting, and then they can just come in and drive the car. That's a bonus.
It's very exciting. I honestly, I'm super proud of everybody that was involved and
that's nice. November 27th at all, and I can get that anywhere you find books or digital books are sold.
Yeah, I'm planning on full release, paperback and digital stuff.
And your original book was Year 47. This will be called
By Year's End.
By Year's End. Awesome.
And if I may, Graham,
yeah,
I just wanted to say to Bo, well done. Great story.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent writing. No, thank you. You are an exceptionally talented author, and it was an absolute pleasure and honor to not only, now get to meet you, but to work with you and to create your story, because I'll tell you what, that was one hell of a story. Well done, man. Very good story.
Thank you. I gotta commend every single body here for and Gabe and just everybody that was involved. It was one of those things like I was doing it and involved in it and mentioning it to people, and they didn't really understand the elevation that you get. Like when they finally heard it, they're like, "Oh my God, you did this!" And I'm like, "Yeah, they're the ones that made me look good." So, like, yeah,
it was our honor, brother. Thank you.
Yeah. That's half the thrill of doing this too, is coming together, creating something out of nothing, and ending up with something so thrilling. And obviously we're all a part of it. We're all contributing, but it's is equally exciting for each and every one of us to hear it come out.
That's awesome.
And I think Jason is one of the big masterminds, and Brian, of course, is I don't know what he does. No, I'm kidding.
Don't do anything.
Hey man, I couldn't do 95% of this without Brian, man.
I was trying to make a joke because I know it's the opposite. Yes, Brian just, of course, is literally sitting at his laptop in a room full of boxes.
Yeah. I moved on Halloween. Go figure.
On Halloween
to a place where nobody had lived in it since 2002 when they passed away.
Oh, wow.
And
I know I told him to write that story. I told him to write that.
The guy comes and live in my house, and then when we actually looked at the walls and the calendars on the walls said October 2002. So I don't know.
Meant to be, brother. Meant to be.
It's kind of weird.
Holly, do you have any projects upcoming that you could let us know about?
Yes.
Well,
actually, I'm totally down. I just released my third solo album, Journey to the Center, September 28th, on Bandcamp. So if people want to go to hollylinden.bandcamp.com, it's there for sale. This has been a while, but it's ongoing anyway. About a year ago, I released my first coloring book called Mandela Mental Volume 1, and I'm working on 2 others right now. Other than that might be about it. I have a few other things happening, but I'm not really supposed to talk about it yet. So
where can we find those coloring books?
They're on Amazon.
Really?
Yeah, they're on Amazon, Canada, US, and the UK.
Email me that link, please.
I will, for sure.
Yeah, really.
I wanted to throw some in. Bo has a kid's book too out, just to give you guys a heads up. You like
yeah.
Awesome.
Once you get to know me.
That's it. Right. So we can basically put both Bo Chappell's name and Holly Linden's name into Amazon and get lots of great stuff.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I listened to the band
chapters.ca. I'm not just Amazon.
Yeah. The music, I've checked out Holly's music on Bandcamp. It's really good.
Thank you.
I can't wait to hear it.
Bandcamp's great because you can listen to it and
Yeah.
And then you decide. So people be generous buying the album, give her a little extra money.
That's a great idea.
Thank you.
That's a great idea.
It's my favorite thing I've released in over 26 years of making music. So it really means a lot to me.
Journey to the Center?
Yes.
Awesome.
Get out there and support her, guys. Come on now. Everybody.
I'm going to just do a quick round of social media tags here so everyone can know that they can find Bo on Twitter at Infrafan. Infrafan. Explain that to me.
Yeah, really.
It's actually the icon if you're looking at it. My favorite childhood movie was Inframan. It's a Shaw Brothers production. They brought over from China. He's China's first superhero.
Oh.
And he's kind of in that Sentai family, like Power Rangers and things like that.
Right.
So I'm a fan of Inframan.
All right.
That's
INFRAFAN, Infrafan. Holly is at Holly Linden, HOLLYLINDIN. Excuse me. Brian is at Darth Chair, which is like Darth Vader, except
I've always loved that one.
It's not Darth. Instead of Darth Vader, it's Darth Chair.
Don't Sith on me,
Oh, how appropriate.
And Jason is not on social media, but you
Not yet. I'm making a Twitter.
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a Twitter.
Wow.
I have been told I need to make one, and everybody's like, whatever. But
Thank you, Chrissy.
So
Thank you.
antisocial. Yeah, you know it. My the wife.
Jason does occasionally step into he logs into the Grey Rooms podcast every now and then. Our Twitter. Oh, but the people should know that our Twitter handle for the show is the Grey Rooms Pod. On Facebook, you can find us at the Grey Rooms Emotional Support Group. That's literally
behind the Grey Rooms there.
She's listening.
Yeah. The Grey Room is actually your packing blankets that you're in. That's the Grey Room. And of course, don't forget our Instagram account.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the Grey Rooms Podcast.
Wait a minute. It's an Insta what?
That's right, because
Graham!
there's nothing more relevant than a visual social medium for an audio podcast.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Graham hates it. Graham hates the whole Instagram joke, I think.
No,
so
it's better than kilogram.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That was the one I had growing up. Guys, I want to thank our valiant visitors in the chat room, Arthur, Justin, Charlotte. Bless you all.
Hey, those are all patrons, so definitely thank you. No, seriously, those are all patrons. Thank you.
More than just thank you for visiting, but also thank you for being patrons. And
yeah,
Charlotte,
you guys,
Charlotte, thank you for
keep this on, man.
What time is it in Denmark? Charlotte, Google. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe it's better we don't.
By the way, Graham, don't take away from letting us know about some stuff that you got coming up if you can.
Seriously.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
You're a exceptionally talented actor, man. Everybody should come hear you.
Thank you very much.
4:13 in the morning there.
Oh man!
Wow,
man, that's okay.
She doesn't say anything. She might have fell asleep. Oh, there she is. She's like, what? Huh?
No, that's amazing.
The funny thing is that if anybody's missing this, they're probably still listening to Grant because everybody's playing Red Dead right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I can promote that I'm in Red Dead.
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Awesome.
if you want to actually just go to the good stuff, I discovered that even though first off, Rockstar doesn't give away free copies of their games, which is aggravating.
I would totally give you a free download.
They totally. I discovered this. Anyway, so I bought the game, but then I knew I'm so slow. I buy games, I don't play them because life. And eventually you give it 3 or 4 days, and then you go to YouTube and you basically do a search for Red Dead Redemption and the character you played, and there it's there. So if you want to go to YouTube and type in Gunsmith, Red Dead Redemption 2 Gunsmith, and I think the town is called
Basement or something.
Well, no, yeah, the town is called Rhodes, Rhodes. And anyway, you can find me do shifty things.
That's true. I saw the video. He's a very shifty guy.
What's crazy is that was filmed or mocapped like 2.5 years ago. That's how.
Oh wow.
What I was surprised is it kind of reminded me of the little part you played in our Warden segment with the guy that was released or the door opened and he was, and I was like, what? Did he just send this to me because of the concept, like the
right,
what a coinky dink that was. Yeah, so that was kind of neat.
Well, yeah. So anyway, there's stuff and I'm so excited for the Grey Rooms to launch on November 30th. I could spit.
We need to get Graham in some Spider-Man DLC.
Well, I just bought well, no, let's not talk video games anymore because that's it's a different podcast. Let's find a wonderful, graceful way to put a button on this wonderful behind the door postmortem. Thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bo.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Brian and Jason, just think about what you've done.
Well,
No regrets.
boy, I've
No
heard
regrets.
that so much in my life, and it usually entails like my father and like a principal or a police officer.
Well,
Or that time
Think
you
about
woke up,
what you've done.
the time you woke up in a hotel in Tijuana.
That never happened. I will stand by that. It never happened.
If you can't
it's all
remember, it
good.
didn't
No,
happen.
but what you've done is you've created the gray rooms, and so in this
No.
situation, it's you created something epic and ominous, and it's coming. You can hear the thunder, the distant thunder rumbling.
And we're going to
Well,
war in November or the end of this month, so get ready.
I definitely appreciate that, Graham. I mean, those are some awesome. That's very awesome. What? Oh, I'm supposed. Hold on.
No, we might have missed a shout out.
Maria and John. That's the wife's brother and my, I guess would be my sister-in-law there. I guess what? Yeah. So anyway, how's it going? I'm so happy you're listening. Make sure you turn it all the way up. Play it multiple times. Buy everything. No, but seriously.
Wait, are Maria and John listening now, or are they going to be listening?
No, they're listening right now.
In the next room?
No, they're in another state.
Okay.
They're in another state. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yep. Yeah, I'm broadcasting from the middle of the United States of America in Omaha, Nebraska, where there's corn stalks and dirt roads and corn stalks, and that's it.
Sounds
Omaha.
corny.
Yes, sir.
I thought she just said sound something else.
Which, by the way, with that being said, I'm just going to let you guys know this too. They're Graham and Brian. Got something coming for you guys on Merry Christmas time. But
do you know I sang with the Omaha Symphony 2 Christmases ago?
Oh, dude, Omaha Symphony is the stuff, bro.
Yeah, I was there 2 Christmases ago, and that's the first time I'd ever been to Omaha, and it was so freaking cold.
How cold was it?
It's so cold I had to buy a vest off of Amazon. This is the worst.
Which is where you can also go buy Bo's book and Holly's music.
Yeah, there you go. And get a coloring book.
You can go to Amazon and buy both of those.
We're just gonna throw up like those weird vendor links that give you like a couple pennies. We'll just put up links to all of us on Amazon.
Yeah, let's just throw up like 100 pop-ups. That'd be great.
But I guess if there's anything I actually wanted to always close out with, if anything, it's like, yeah, this was a dream I had about 10 years ago, and the wife pushed me, said, make this something. And Graham was the first actual voice actor I had reach out to me saying, hey, and then I talked to Brian, and you know what? If anything good comes out of the Gray Rooms ever, if anything ever good, which I personally feel right here, I personally feel that the Gray Room's going to explode. But if anything ever good comes out of this, it's all of you. It's everybody who is involved in this. The fans, the voice actors, the authors, everybody. I love every single one of you because the Gray Rooms is everything. You have made my dream come true. So I thank all of you. This story was wonderful because of Bo's excellent writing, Holly's superb acting, Gabe and Graham obviously delivering 100% 5-star performances, Brian for just being not just my right hand man, but my really good, great best friend. And I tell you what, man, whenever things get rough, I turn to Brian, I turn to Graham, I just listen to what we've done, and I know that things are going to be great. Things are going to be great because I'll tell you what, the Gray Rooms and all of you out there, man, we got something going on. This is the family, it's the team. So if there's anything
that's going to be our motto. Whenever things get rough, go to the Gray Rooms where things will be a whole lot rougher.
Well, I mean, the warden's there. I mean, hey, man, it is what it is. But no, seriously, straight up, I thank all of you. Not even the patrons, everybody, all of you. Thank you. But this is a dream that I had 10 years ago, and we're sitting here talking about a story that I created with the help of all of these wonderful, talented people that are here tonight. So thank every single one of you, because without you, this would be nothing. Period.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your passion is contagious.
That's right. And I hope we get some pickled Rasputin fingers come the Halloween, or come the Christmas season or whatever.
Fight for my gifts.
Yeah. Did you get that? That wasn't really pickled fingers? I don't know if you got the Rasputin joke there, but
did you get that? Did you pick up on that?
Oh, no, that went by me.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I got you. I got it now. Oh, yeah.
That was a big joke on with a bunch of people a while back on, I think it was Facebook or something. It was, Rasputin. They got some interesting things on his body parts, man.
Hey, Brian, I think you're familiar. I realized that we could also say a sentence or two just to talk about the debut story. I think for November 30th, the main story is called The Great War, and it's one of yours. Can you give a quick little tease?
Sure. One of the things when you think of the Great War, you think of people in trenches. And what's the worst thing in the trench that you can think of? What do you guys think?
Someone pooping their pants.
Trench foot.
I'm not going to say anything because I already know I'm not. I got an insight on this.
I mean, I have to admit, pooping your pants in the trench would be pretty bad. Bo, what do you think?
That's a good one.
Oh, well, I can't give it. I already know. Like, so if I just say it, I can look smart.
Yeah, I would just be mad at you and never talk to you again. No, but one of the things I discovered, that's actually one of the worst, I think. But what we did was I was doing some research and I discovered that rats were the size of cats during those, and numbering just insane amounts of rats were running around eating all the waste that was produced and nibbling off body parts from corpses of people that had died, and they just buried right in the trenches. So these rats apparently were like a real life horror story themselves, and they weren't allowed to shoot them. They had to use their bayonets to try to stab them. And I'm pretty sure if you try to do anything with an animal, it's not going to just stand there and let you stab it. So with that in mind, we're going to open up our story with the Great War, and we have a fella named Graham, who basically is voice acting a British soldier who is encountering a great deal of war situations and might encounter a couple rats or two. Might be a little bit.
I mean, it's a couple, few.
Yeah,
it's a tender tale of man and rat.
And keep an eye for
your hand.
Keep an eye for a cameo spot for one of the writers for one of our future stories. He might have some bad things happen to him.
There might be a name, call out, a shout out.
Yeah, it might be one or two. Oh, and if you liked Alistair Mackey, he's also in it. He plays a couple parts, right? Doesn't he play two?
Well, where have people heard Alistair so far?
They've heard him in the arachnophobia story.
Yes, they did.
If you heard that documentary bit in the beginning of that little preseason teaser there, you'll hear a little bit more of him this time. So that'll be pretty exciting.
And actually, if I could, I wanted to say that I'm just going to go ahead and plug this guy, JM Scherf Music, JMS. CHERF, I believe I said that right, Scherf. He is a digital musical composer. He's actually going to be doing a lot of the musical composition in this story. He's coming on to help me do a lot of the. Well, I want to focus more on the sound effects and the voice acting aspects of it, not necessarily the music or the ambience. He's going to focus more on that. Granted, we're going to be hand in hand on that, but John Scherf, JM Scherf Music, at JM Scherf Music on Twitter. You can see him in our bio there. He actually is going to start doing a lot more composition for us. So that's big news because he does like X Games, Disney Channel, ESPN, Disney Junior. He does a lot of stuff on there.
I want to find him on Twitter. You said JM
Scherf, SCHERF.
There he is. Okay. Oh, right. I've seen his Twitter icon is pretty memorable.
Yeah, and if you ever need music for anything or anything like that, like he has a bunch of stock stuff and that is phenomenal. And he'll also create your personal stuff if needed, which he actually, you haven't heard it yet, but you'll hear it on November 30th. For the patrons, you'll hear it the day after Thanksgiving. But you'll hear it on November 30th. He did the intro for the Grey Rooms podcast. So, yeah.
Ooh. And that's a great thing to mention. So for the wide release of season 1 will be November 30th for the public at large. For the Patreon patrons, it will be the day after Thanksgiving, which is November the...
I think it's the 23rd. I'm not sure. It's the
Just
Friday.
say Black Friday.
Friday.
Black Friday. There we
Friday.
go. It'll
Or
Black Friday
Great-
has never been blacker.
Great Friday.
There we go.
You can pop some buds in.
Or you
stand
could
in the
say
crowd,
Brian
look at
Black
them.
Friday,
There
I
you go.
guess.
That's
You
good.
know.
That's how you celebrated it every year
Yeah.
before now, isn't it?
Hey
Way to
guys,
market
Brian Black
yourself,
Friday.
Brian.
Yeah, you know.
Brian Black Friday. There you go. Yeah. So you hear that intro, it's going to be, he wrote that. So
Hey, how long is that first episode? Because everybody's used to our episodes being, what, like 15, 20 minutes?
no.
How long is this
No.
one? You want to tell them?
The story itself. No, I'm just gonna hint because it's still there's still things in the work. There's always still things in the work, like moving sound effects in and out and stuff. But the story itself is 40 minutes long.
So there you go.
Yeah.
See, Brian doesn't write short stories. He needs to get smacked. That's Bo.
Yeah. our first episode's probably gonna be close to an hour.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of good though, because we wanted longer. The major season, like the main season stories, are supposed to be longer. We wanted to kind of do the short ones for preseason to kind of give people an idea of what Jason kind of envisioned and how our shows were going to work out. So I'm looking really forward to the longer shows because it'll really be more of a cinematic movie experience, I think, with everything.
Well, and also too, keep in mind, like as far as again, like for being a patron of this podcast, with the regular season, not so much the preview season, the preseason kind of thing. With the regular season, you're not going to hear any of the patron shout outs. You'll hear the credits at the end because you know what? The people who worked hard to make this all happen, they should be known. But you also, if there are ever any advertisements, when we start getting the sponsors and all that kind of stuff, if those are in there, those will not be included in the patron episodes. You're going to straight up get intro, story, outro, bye, see you next week, or something like that kind of thing, and that's just how it is. And not to mention all the other cool things you get. So, by the way, if you are a top tier patron and you do have a key, the warden wants to see your keys. Put a picture up with your key right now. If you do have a key, I want to see you.
How are we going to
the
see
warden's keys. On Twitter.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Come on, Bob.
Shove it through your monitor right now.
Yeah. We got secret powers for real, guys. We know what you're doing.
Thanks again to everybody, man. Thanks to Bo. Thanks to Brian. Thanks to Graham. Thanks to Holly ever so much for your exceptional talents. Thanks to Gabe. And thank you for everybody who's not just a patron, but also everybody who listened, because that was the most successful episode we had so far.
Wow. Building. Holly, I just want to say, we met you because the production schedule had everything sort of cast and recorded so far in advance. We met you very late, but I'm hoping that we have some bonus episodes coming up. We're still working through those, but we would love to continue to work with you and hopefully you'd be willing to pay a visit to the room again. Well, think about it, she says.
Have your people call my people, okay?
We got it.
Damn
We got
right. It's gonna happen.
Yeah,
it's happening. And Bo, I know this isn't the last that we hear your beautiful words. So thank you, and we can't wait for next time.
And everybody else, just I can't tell you what an honor it is just to have you guys.
Well, it's wonderful. It was wonderful telling your story, and yeah, we're in a good place.
Brian, could you tell them if, because we do have that open season right now for season 2, did you want to mention that and let them know where they can send their stories if they wanted to submit them? And also if you want to submit yourself for a voice acting position, I guess I hate to use that word, but yeah.
Yeah, bug Graham for any voice acting issues. Not just kidding.
Well, the truth is that we like I mentioned to Holly, because we got so many things front loaded. We're still waiting for the next sort of wave of need for talent. So once that hits, there are people who have already sort of reached out to us, and they're like, "Great, you're great. I just need something to work, to not give them, but sort of that I need them for, because we did so much in advance." Which is not to say you go ahead, Brian, talk about the stories and submissions, because that's a bigger deal.
Yeah, we were waiting for a little bit to kind of get sort of an idea on how we wanted to do a fine print sort of thing. How long we were going to keep people's stories, because it's new to us. And one of the things that happened was we were thinking, well, if we're going to ask for rights for so many months after the podcast airs, what kind of happens in the meantime? Because people have sent us stories, last practically like way earlier in the spring, and now they might not hear it till May. So we were kind of working it out. I need to post that on our website. Of course, I was moving for a while, so now I can kind of get back on track. I have the internet, everything set up. I will be jumping on that. You can submit stories from now to I believe March 1st. And
that's my birthday.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
So Holly is going to be the one that tells you, if you haven't sent the story, you suck. Never even deal with it again. We're done with you. No, but really,
I'll be brutal too. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. We should just get her to judge. It's just like, this story is terrible.
I think we've already gotten to see how brutal it can be. So.
Yeah, but we do. We just to kind of go over, we were discussing the length of stories we wanted, 1,300 to 1,400 words, no more than that. We discovered that anything longer was really, I'm sorry, 3,500.
Sorry, you got that wrong there,
yeah, we want really short stories. No, 30.
We want to make ads.
Yeah, 3,500 to 4,000 words. I'm sorry if I scared you. That is the limit. We can't really go any further. It's just too long. The other thing is they need to be first person, past tense. The main character, as we were kind of talking about it, it either must be an implied death or a death that happens directly in the story.
Or maybe, at the very end, they're just like, and that was the end. And then I just patiently waited until old age took me. Like, that count?
That would be no, it would not count.
All right.
Because you got to remember that the central character is suffering through those situations. So they would literally be living a lifetime in there, which violates the whole idea of having to make choices. And it's just too much of a philosophical debate over that. So we're not going to get into it. But thanks anyway, Graham, because that's a good question. But yeah, I think I hit all the major parts. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask us. I mean, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. You can send your submissions to submissions@thegrayrooms.com. I'm not going to spell it out because you should be a writer and know how to spell it. But the other thing is, sorry, you got spell check. Please send us your stories in Word, some sort of documentation. We've received stories in email, just posted right in the subject, or not the subject, but the body of the email. And it's just crazy. I was like, what are we supposed to do with this? So you're making us do more work. Don't do that. The other thing is, don't include the gray rooms in your story. Some people have done this. You don't have to. We don't expect you to know anything more about what the gray rooms is. Just write the story the way you want to write it. If you want to write fantasy, you can write fantasy. You want to write sci-fi, you can write sci-fi. You want to write a horror story about, King George or something, write a horror story about King George. We don't care. Whatever genre, whatever. Just follow the directions. Kill off the main character. Has to be horror. First person, past tense. 35,000 or 3,500 to 4,000 words. Bam. Done.
Sit back and enjoy.
Spell submissions at thegrayrooms.com, right?
All right, everybody. That's going to do it for Behind the Door. We will be back again after our season premiere.
Yes, sir.
November 30th or Black Friday, if you're a patron. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Bo. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Brian. Brian, hit the button.
I'm not. I refuse. No, I'm just kidding. Hold on.